Every time that anyone talks about the council tax, those people in the freedom, the truth movement, the sovereignty movement, make reference to the fact that the council tax here in the UK, and I believe it's called something similar, say, in America and other parts of the world, every time we make reference to it and say, well, actually, where's the obligation? Where's the contract? Where did we agree to anything? Why is it that the kind, nice and benevolent government, he says with his tongue strongly in his cheek, wants to extract funds from us for services that we've not actually asked for or even agreed to? And how is it possible that in this world, if you are a real man or a real woman living and breathing, that unlike an animal that can crawl into a hole or make its own camp isn't charged for any services, that the moment that you buy a house or you rent a house, you're liable to pay a tax just to have your head protected by a roof and your family all protected within enclosed walls. Why is that? Where is the obligation? Where's the contract? And as soon as you mention this, you put your head above the parapet, as I and many other people have done, suddenly there will be a plethora of people saying, oh no, you've got to pay, it's in the legislation documents, the government have decided this is it, as if they are sovereign people, which of course we know is complete nonsense. How is it possible that a government is above man? If man came first, and if no one is born better than anyone else, then how is it that suddenly, as if you've not agreed to anything, that you've somehow found yourself in a slave situation? We're not slaves here in the free world, or at least we must recognise the fact that we're not slaves. But they say, no, it's all to do with the Local Government Finance Act of 2012. And here it is, look at that, there's the Local Government Finance Act, and somewhere down here it tells you that the fact that it's all to do, here's there, council tax, it's all been agreed, and they tell you all of this as if the government can just sit there and decide, actually, do you know what, the minute you buy a house, we're just going to take some money. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if that money actually went to a local authority, that local authority was elected by yourself and was doing the work that they supposedly claim that they are doing, and doing the things that you actually want. But because this money that is collected goes to a central pot somewhere else and is used for all sorts of different things, then it isn't even going into your local area. But also, not only that, it's not even an authority. It's not even the people. Your council is not even who you think it is. These are a corporate business, not an authority, not in the way that you imagine that you have voted a bunch of people in your area to do the administration and make your life much better by organising someone to collect the bins and ensuring there's street lighting and filling in the potholes and making sure that there are amenities like libraries and theatres and cinemas and all those things that we think that we would desire in our environment, in our locality. No, these authorities, they're not even that. And I want to show you why I know that and how we can prove that. So I'm going to go to a website here. And on the website, this is from David Edelman, our friend, the People's Lawyers website. And he says all of this is in the public domain. And there's this thing called the Clearfield Doctrine. Right, and I don't really understand what that means in and of itself, but here's the legal ramifications of the Clearfield Doctrine. It says all courts were dissolved in 2008, and the Clearfield Doctrine then became registered companies on Dun and Bradstreet Company Search. And when governments enter the world of commerce, they are subject to the same burdens as any private firm or corporation. And you can check up your local council on Dun and Bradstreet, and you'll see that it is actually an incorporated business, that it's not actually an administrative local authority as you may imagine that it is, even though we're being told that that's what it is. It's a private for-profit business there to collect money. So in other words, when your council tax drops on the mat and you look at it, it's a demand for some money. Now, it may as well be any firm, any company that you can imagine, a well-known bar, a burger bar, for example, or a supermarket, some big corporation just saying, do you know what, we'd like some money for you. Now, that's not right. You wouldn't do it if a big national chain of burger bars suddenly just said, actually, do you know what, we want some money from you and here's an invoice or a demand. You just go, excuse me, where did I agree to have any of your burgers? I haven't been into your shop and agreed to have them. You've just sent me this demand. It's not even an invoice, it's just sort of a demand. And you can't do that. Once you get into this law of contracts, both parties have to be part of it, and there needs to be clear disclosure. Both parties need to have agreed, and there needs to be two signatures, two wet signatures signed on that contract. And when you get your council tax, there isn't. So no matter how much people will tell you, do you know what, this is just the Local Finance Act and it's been democratically voted for by a government, which, by the way, is another corporation, they haven't got the power to do this to you. Let's just go and have a further look at this document because it's absolutely fascinating. Here we go, look here. Just highlight that so you can see it. Under their clear field doctrine, the courts are no longer government entities in that they are demanding private monies and must have a contract with you to compel performance. They are no more special as a normal business in your local than your local Jack in the Box, whatever that might be. So, insert name of local business. Clear field doctrine, private commercial paper, is used by corporate government. Then the government loses it. Sorry, so let me just read that again. Clear field doctrine says private commercial paper is used by corporate government. Then government loses its sovereignty status and becomes no different than a mere private corporation. Government create and enforce civil laws known as statutes, acts and legislation created by the Bar Association, which was set up by the Rothschilds, which are duty bound to comply with the law of contracts. The law of contracts requires signed written agreements and complete transparency. So that's what I was saying about. So here we go. In here, it sort of gives you chapter and verse of this. What the clear field doctrine is saying is that when private commercial paper is used by corporate government, which is effectively what the statement or the demand from the council tax is when it comes in, and then they give you a summons, which isn't even a proper court summons, it's their own stationery because they haven't actually been and had a proper legal court set up to do this. They might hire the room and get a magistrate who is not using his public oath to do it, and then they rubber stamp numerous ones all at the same time. That's not the same thing at all. And when you get a summons on just your ordinary corporate paper, the authority has, well, it isn't an authority, it's just a business demanding money from you. So here we go. It says, as such, the government then becomes bound by the rules and laws that govern private corporations, which means that if they intend to compel an individual to some specific performance based upon its corporate statutes and corporation rules, then the government, like any private corporation, must be the holder in due course of a contract or other commercial agreement between it and the one upon who demands for specific performances are made. And further, the government must be willing to enter the contract or commercial agreement into evidence before trying to get the court to enforce its demands, called statutes. In other words, that bit here at the end, the government must be willing to enter the contract or the commercial agreement into evidence. That means that they must be able to provide the contract that you have signed, which of course you haven't with your council tax because it's just a demand. There must be something that says you agreed to it. When did you agree to it? I haven't agreed to it. Now, that's not to say that I'm not willing to agree to some form of contract where I can participate. It might be advantageous me to have a constable service in which the police constables are on the beat, making sure that everything is safe and secure. It might be that I want to contribute to having a swimming pool or a youth centre being built at the local authorities' expense, all of us contributing. That might be the case. I might want to see the potholes being removed. But I want to, not only do I want to see that in the contract that I'm going to sign, the agreement that I'm going to sign, and how much I'm going to agree and negotiate with them how much I want to pay towards it as an individual resident or an individual man living here, not resident, that's a bad word to use, then I want to see that signature that I've put forward. You can't just come along and say, well, we're just going to extract money from you and then we're going to make up our own mind and you don't basically have any say whether we put great big flower pots in the road or 20 mile an hour speed zone signs on, or we're going to put speed cameras up left, right and centre because we know best, that somehow we are in control of you. No, you're not, actually. So this is something that we must demand our sovereign rights and claim back and take back responsibility. And those people, of course, the people who are often saying, oh, no, it's down to the Finance Act in the legislation, it's all, you can't do anything. These are the people who have sworn secretly to a Bar Guild oath with the Bar Guild Courts Association, which is to do with the Vatican, Roman law, and nothing to do with lawfulness. It's to do with legislation, which is the colour of the law, and nothing to do with you and I as living men and women. So next time they start saying, oh, no, it's all to do with this Local Government Finance Act, you can tell them, I'm sorry, I have nothing to do with that. I'm not using the legal fiction. I'm not a capitalised name in this. I'm a living man, and I demand to not have any of this nonsense. And I demand you to show me where the contract is and where the obligation is, because I think you're just making it up, and you and your bully boys are scamming us.